Saudi Arabia's state oil company, ARAMCO, shut down its oil refinery in Ras Tanura after drone strikes were carried out, allegedly targeted by Iran. Now, there has been a larger wave of attacks on energy infrastructure in the Gulf in response to Israel and America's bombing campaign against Iran. And now there are serious concerns about how this expanding war will impact the world's economy. Now, Cenk, before I give you some of the details, there have been some, contradicting reports about who targeted Saudi Arabia.
This is a bit shocking, and it's not confirmed yet. We'll give you the details, we'll give you the facts. But there's a report that the Israelis might have hit Saudi Arabia as a false flag operation to draw them into the war against Iran. And let's see if that story gets confirmed, but let's give you the details first.
Yes, and remember, we're in the fog of war. So sometimes things appear pretty clear, and then it turns out you have more details later that go against that narrative. Now, before we get any further, again, it is important to remember we're in the fog of war, and there's all sorts of intentionally misleading propaganda out there. So it is not confirmed that Iran struck Saudi oil infrastructure. I want to be clear about that. So the Aramco oil refinery, if you're unfamiliar with it, houses one of the Middle East's largest refineries and actually has the capacity to refine 550,000 barrels per day. It serves as a critical export terminal for Saudi crude oil and is a key supplier of transport fuels like diesel for buyers in Europe. Now, according to the official Saudi press agency, there was a limited fire at the plant caused by debris from the interception of 2 drones that were targeting the facility. The question here is, whose drones were they? Right? Now, there were no injuries reported, thankfully, and the blaze was brought under control. However, Aramco quickly shut down the refinery as a precautionary measure. Now, Iran is actually denying that they were responsible for any strikes in Saudi Arabia specifically. Iran's deputy foreign minister told CNN the following: "We have already been in touch with our Saudi brothers and we have talked about this issue. Iran is not responsible for the attack against the oil installations in Saudi Arabia." On top of that, I think it's worth noting that a friend of the show and wonderful journalist Ryan Grimm wrote that Saudi Arabia will eventually be able to figure out where the missile came from that struck their oil field, because there were strikes on the oil field as well. And if it's confirmed it was Israel, that'll have regional implications for a generation. Now, some of you might be wondering, Israel, who's blaming this on Israel? Well, interestingly enough, today on Tucker Carlson's show, he made a pretty bold claim, and it had to do with the arrests of Mossad agents in other Arab countries. I want you to listen to what he has to say here, and then we'll discuss the likelihood of this. Take a look.
Israel wanted to hurt these countries, that's the point. Wanted to hurt these countries. Wanted to sow chaos and disorder because they are rivals of Israel. So it's probably hasn't been reported, but it's a fact that last night in Qatar and Saudi Arabia, authorities arrested Mossad agents planning on committing bombings in those countries. Now, that's weird. That doesn't make any sense. Why would the Israelis be committing bombings in 2 Gulf countries which are also being attacked by Iran? Aren't they on the same side? No. Israel wants to hurt Iran and Qatar and UAE and Saudi and Bahrain and Oman and Kuwait. And they've succeeded.
Now, Tucker's claim is that Israel wants the United States to have a bad relationship with these Gulf countries. Now, those Gulf countries, of course, currently have our bases located within them. And so the idea is that eventually Israel is going to want the US to leave the Middle East entirely, considering the fact that they want to be the hegemon in the Middle East. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think there's good arguments to be made on both sides here. So let's dive into the nuance. So first off, on attacking UAE, I don't get that at all, because UAE is totally in the pocket of Israel. So like if they bother to attack them on top, I mean, that is arrogance, on steroids. But what, so I just don't quite get it.
Let's go to the second video because he explains, it's 37 seconds because he explains why, right?
Okay, and then but I do want to get to something that backs up what he's saying.
Yep.
But okay, let's watch.
Take a look.
The final thing you'd have to do is get the US out of the Middle East. Why would you want the United States out? Well, because the United States, while not doing a very good job of constraining Israel, has been issuing requests in any case to Israel for a long time. And that's very annoying. Imagine if we were getting the same kind of communiques from, I don't know, Ottawa, and they were like, you can't do this, you can't do that. We'd say, buzz off at a certain point. Back off, Canada. We're doing what we want. We're a great power. So you have to get the United States out.
So that's the claim that he's making. Thoughts?
Well, I mean, look, at least there's a little bit of rationale there because the Greater Israel does include a lot of the Gulf. And now,
Turkey.
And so that's what I was going to get to is that, it looks like they're going for Greater Israel now, right? And so almost all the Middle Eastern countries' defenses have been obliterated. Now, in this particular war, they came in, the US did, saying, oh, the nukes that don't exist at all, right? Or regime change, et cetera. But now we're on to roadside bombs and we have to destroy their navy. We have to destroy every single ballistic missile, maybe every handgun. I mean, it's absurd. Why? Because Israel needs them neutered.
Don't forget, Noble Mobile is saving you a ton of money. So a lot of people are signing up now and beginning to realize, what the hell, why am I paying so much to Verizon and AT&T? So your bill's only $50 a month, but it can actually be less because they give you money back if you don't use your data. So if you're paying more than $50, there's no reason to not switch. It's crazy not to switch because same phone, same number, same contacts, literally nothing changes. TYT.com/switch, TYT.com/switch. All right, we'll be right back.
But Israel has already said that their next target is Turkey, which is, I can't get past how mental that is. It's a NATO country, okay? And now that's going up north, but then they also have to go south for Greater Israel, and that's a lot of the Gulf. So, well, UAE is the biggest suckers in the world. They think that if they handed over their cybersecurity to Israel, a bunch of morons. So Israel owns them and they can do anything they want to UAE. Those idiots trust them. Oh no, they're on our side. Israel isn't on anyone's side but Israel, okay? So now come back around to what is a piece of evidence that supports this theory. Well, the Iranians took credit for all the other attacks, right? On Kuwait, Bahrain, Oman, and Qatar. There was a rumor out that maybe Israel did Qatar too. And in fact, there Tucker mentions that they might have caught Mossad agents in Qatar, right? But no, for the moment being, Iran has claimed attacking Qatar. But that's interesting because that's a juxtaposition to Iran going, what, Saudi Arabia? We didn't attack Saudi Arabia because they're bragging about all the other attacks. They said, oh, hell yeah, we hit them. And you see if you're safe now, UAE, when they hit Dubai. But on Saudi Arabia, they're like, what are you talking about? We didn't do that at all, right?
Right.
So that's a big, big difference there. And that's what makes me think maybe there's something to that. In terms of, did they catch Mossad or not in those countries? Well, presumably we're gonna find out, right? I mean, we might not, maybe they'll bury the news, et cetera. But if we find out, then they did, right? But for now, that's not a good enough source for me to say it definitively happened, right? So I come back to, I don't know who hit Saudi Arabia, but now Israel is on the table, yes.
And Cenk, just to bolster what you say about the Iranians taking ownership of some of the other attacks they've made, I wanna go to C2 here. So this is Iranian foreign minister on CNN, I believe, talking about how they did in fact attack and bomb US bases in some of these Gulf countries. Take a look.
Sir, if that's a red line for you, why is attacking US military bases abroad justified?
But because they are attacking us. They are US military, installations, facilities, bases who are attacking us. We are under attack. Why don't you, recognize this fact? We are under the attack by US forces in the region. So we have every right to defend ourselves. And how to defend ourselves? We attacked, the US bases. This is obvious. This is a very simple fact. And I hope that, and I'm sure that people would understand that. We are not the one who attacked Americans. We are only defending ourselves.
So there you have it. It's not like they're shy when it comes to taking responsibility for some of the attacks.
Yeah, and there was actually another important clue in there. But first, what an absurd question.
I know. And by the way, that was NBC for our audio listeners, not CNN.
They're like, now we've attacked your country. We've killed your top 49 leaders. We've bombed hospitals and elementary schools. But you have the temerity to attack us back? Yeah, that's kind of how war works. Like, I can't believe she even asked that question.
I'm glad she did, though. I'm glad she did.
Okay, so now here's the clue buried in there. He said, yeah, of course we attacked the US bases in retaliation. And every single one of these attacks that Iran is taking credit for is against a US base or US troops that had moved. Like in one case, they had moved to a hotel and they hit the hotel, right? None of them are against oil fields. So, okay, it's not definitive, but that's interesting. And so we'll stay on top of the story, see if we can get more. This is circumstantial evidence. We'll see if we can get direct evidence.
Every time you ring the bell below, an angel gets his wings. Totally not true, but it does keep you updated on our live shows.